is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a fabulous another Thursday night live show. As you can tell, I didn't do my hair before tonight's live show. Demon, welcome back. Hey, Tim, good to see you. Good to see you. Man, long time no talk, Demon. How you been doing over there? What's the weather in Iraq like this time of year? Wendell, good to see you, my man. I love seeing old faces show up for the live chat again. The timing is probably absolutely terrible for the Middle East, so I appreciate it. I don't know, could be in the middle of your workday. There's no telling. It's been too long since I've been over there. Hey, Mike, what's going on, my man? Welcome back as always. And, man, I'll be honest with you, I ain't done much. Mike's at work. I'm always at work, brother. Every second that I'm awake, I'm working on something. Working on something. Busy tuning some Coyotes, Mopars, and Chevys. You got any words of wisdom for the Coyote people? Well, Kamar, good to see you again, man. Got pushed to second shift. So you on the 3 to midnight shift then, Mike? What's your second shift? Coyotes don't, but Voodoos do. 3 to 11. I worked that shift whenever I was still in the Air Force. I liked it a lot. It was my favorite shift to work. Christopher, welcome. Finally had the van starting to tune. Well, that's always the first step. It's a long, slippery slope from here on out. Welcome to the world of tuning. Hey, man. Sometimes motors got to burn a little oil. I love the Voodoo. Yeah, the tuning with the 4 cams. Such a nightmare. That's honestly why I just don't get into the Ford stuff. There's other people that have done Ford stuff. If you want to learn more about tuning Ford stuff and you're new to tuning, go check out Elite Tune School. Check out their Ford course. It'll get you kind of familiarized with what's going on and what you got to do on that side of it. But I just don't see myself doing Ford content ever. I mean, I owned a GT350. And it was a great car. I'm not going to lie. It was a good car. But it probably does need to make my top 10 favorite cars. And it's, as far as I'm concerned, the best that Ford had to offer. And then they did away with the Voodoo. Christopher, you are very welcome, man. Thanks for stopping by on a Thursday night live show. That's what keeps me doing it, man. That's what keeps me doing it. Yeah, I don't understand that, Tim. Why Coyotes are still so expensive, figuring that there were so many of them put in F-150s. Work IT, but they have me checking the data center once an hour watching service vendors. The monotonous work. Hey, Mike, the monotonous work. On one interesting note, though, I did finally get all the stuff I need for the 8HP install. And I'm not done with the wiring on the core. In fact, I was just looking at my spreadsheets. I've got my spreadsheets ready to go. And this is all my wiring pinouts to my Deutsch connectors, my Canon plugs in the engine bay. Now I've just got to figure out where they go on the actual core connector. And here's the core connectors. But I'll be honest with you, it's not the most, it's clear as mud. It's really clear as mud. I'm going to be working with HP tuners to try and make that easier for guys. It's not a problem if you're using one of the pre-built harnesses, but they do offer a flying lead harness if you want to do custom wiring, which normally I would do. But it's not a good solution for that. So that's something that's got to be fixed. Not that deep on the Coyote stuff. Around the cams, they're actually working on a new Ford course right now. I talked to Brandon the other day, and he's wanting to clean that up and get some more basic stuff. And so they brought some Coyote experts in to help with it. So 780 says Terminator X Max Supercharged 5.3 having an issue with surging when it's cold, run goods hot. Where should guys start to try and make it happy? I'll be honest with you, 780. Try and figure out why it's surging when it's cold. And it may just be that it's not going into closed loop because of the fuel modifiers and the way the closed loop works on the Holley systems. Does that make sense? Well, Demon, I will pass that on. That's what's going on, brother. Just talking about my core wiring experience. Shane, my man, welcome back. Yeah, so I've got to get the rest of the harness done. Then we're jumping into the transmission. It's ready to rock and roll. I'm super excited about jumping in. I got the Turbo Lambic TCU ready to go. Oddly enough, it uses Tuner Pro, which is kind of old school software, but it works. So, yeah, 780. A lot of times on Terminator stuff, our Holley stuff, we'll just say Holley because it's the same across the board. It struggles. Evan's performance. Okay, I'll reach out to him. I'm all about having new people on. So, hey, Danny. Good to see you, my man. All about having new people on. So, more than happy. I'll reach out to him. And I know a lot of people talk well about Evans. But, what's going on? Why does this thing act like I am... I do need to call Richard. Richard's probably live right now, isn't he? Is Richard live right now? Oh, he's got his own little website, Richard Holdner Performance, with all of his cams. Awesome. I've not kept up with Richard that much. Dude, I love Matt. And I look forward to having him back on. He was on a couple months ago, Demon. And we had an absolute blast. And he's just so busy. Matt is so busy. Getting Matt locked down is hard. What's going on here? What's... Richard, why is there not a link to your YouTube on your website? Well, I have to get on him about that. What are you doing, Richard? But yeah, nothing new. I've been playing around with ChatGPT more. I fed in an issue that I've been having on the Hellcat. I gave it a log. Hey, Robert. Gave it a log, told him what the problem was, and it told me some tables to check out and make changes to. I haven't had a chance to log them to see if it fixed them, but I'll keep you posted. I'll probably do a video on it. It's so awesome, Demon. There's so many great, smart people making content now. It makes me so happy. Very happy. Like, from whenever I started, hell, it's been, 6 years ago now or so. Maybe even longer. I started before COVID. 7 years. Uh-oh. Schmidt. So after an arc on myself, I did an oil change to start. I have a puff of gray smoke, but only under wide open throttle. Thought I lost a ring. Turned out I overfilled the oil. Get you every time. Whenever I started this, there was some information, but there wasn't a lot of in-depth tuning information out there. And it's now we're very much getting other people involved, and they're starting to put videos out with great content. I mean, we got Joe Simpson that's on there now doing Holly stuff mainly. Matt, even though he's so busy, whenever he gets time, he's throwing up some really great stuff. And Matt Sanford's approach to tuning is great. Then we have even better paid courses. We've got Elite Tuned ETS that's got some great courses out there. I still go back and watch a lot of HP Academy stuff, but not for tuning per se, because their tuning stuff is a little bit more broad, are very specific to standalones that I don't work with. But I went back and watched all of their stuff on 3D scanning, making 3D parts and stuff like that, or modeling 3D parts. Their wiring stuff's very interesting. It's very in-depth, and the guys that teach that stuff are so smart over at HP Academy. I really like surrounding myself with people that are smarter than me, in the hopes that stuff rubs off. Especially with coyotes. Outside of Lund, I would have to ask around even. I honestly do not know. And that's the thing is, like, I like going to the courses. I always said, I am far from knowing everything. I'm learning stuff every single day. And I think that that is my mic's gone wild. What, do I sound crazy? Great. And okay, how about now? Is the echo gone? Well, I turned the audio off, but you should have audio back now. Still have echo. What is... Where are we getting the echo from? It's always something, right? Hold on. I got some stuff. Let me remove that. What up, Andrew? Oh, this is... Okay. This is typical. I upgraded my system tonight before the live show, and of course something's going to be crazy. Okay. So Shane says it's good on his end. Okay, Schmidt says, okay, so we're good. Where was I? Oh, I was talking about I surround myself with people that are smarter than me and hope that it rubs off. And, I learn every single day. As soon as you think that you know everything, you're done. You're done. You ain't learned anything else. Bobby, hi there. I want to know if I can tune my ECU. Depends on your make and model and how I can contact you. Obviously, down in the description or through the website, GoRoadGarage.com is the easiest way. Dealing with a manifold closed VVE table, I'm getting confused. After I add my air percentage to the table, I highlight the smoothing function. Now, after that, do I flatten out all the holes or hills? Okay, great question, Matt. So, you want to look for irregularities. You want to look for spikes, not necessarily hills or holes, but spikes up or down. That's bad data. You want to extrapolate across that. Not even smooth, just extrapolate across it. Now, if you have sections where you don't capture data, fill that in somehow. It will help during the calculate coefficients mode, if that makes sense. So you don't want to just leave those holes in there and leave it to its own devices. And this is what I've found has worked best for me. Let's take a minute and talk about this, because I think this is good knowledge for everybody. Let me open up a window. We'll take a look. Let me find a log. Nope, not that one. Let's go to our tried and true, my favorite, the 2008 stock Corvette. So let's come in here. VVE. Of course, it's way over there. Everybody see this? Okay. So we look at 3D, man. This looks great. This is a factory VVE table. I love this. This just looks so good. And look at that torque curve. This, honestly, whenever you look at from that angle, that should look like almost like your dyno plot. And it's saying that the LS3 is peaking out at torque about 5150, 5200. Like, that's what you like to see. And then it trails back off because we're losing efficiency, we're losing power, and we're not making as much power. Now, if you had a perfect build that was so efficient, this would just keep going up past 6,000, you know, past 7,000, past 8,000 if it weren't an LS, you know. But, so what we're looking for, and this is great, this is a little bit lower than I would say it needs to be. If we go and look at it, it's negative. You obviously are not going to have negative airflow. So I like to get rid of the negatives. And even to the point where I'd look at these and say, oh, we're 108, 108. Then I look at the next row. That's a 210 jump there. So 0 is about right. So let's calculate that and watch how it breaks this whole zone. See, it still put us at 70. And see what it's doing every time I do this? It's recalculating the zone to make the coefficients work. The zone has to maintain a certain shape. We're getting this point up. There, we got it up a little bit more. So now we're at negative 20. If I come in here and put 50 in, we're not going to see a big shift now. Boop. Okay, 12. There we go. So spikes like this. There's one right there. I don't know if I turn it just right. That is not a problem. That is a problem, right? That is not a problem. That is not a problem. That is a problem. That is a problem. Okay? So anytime I see those, I come in here and I look for the data, and it's pretty easy to see because all the cells around it are way different, way shifted. So we're 12, 13, 12, 12, 5, 17, 34. So we'll come in here and I'm just going to obliterate that cell. I'll use interpolate. Boop, it's gone. Calculate. Boom, nice and smooth. Hey, look at that. So now we got good data there. See, I had to recalculate these zones over here in order to make the data good, but we've got good data there. That's step one. Now, whenever we come in and say we've got this area that we just nailed the logging perfectly. You know, in the perfect, well, let's do that again. Why are you not multiplying? Oh, I got 2 decimal points in there. That will not work. Okay, there we go. So we nailed that logging. We've made this adjustment, right? If we come over here and we look at, we can see the adjustment. We got some pretty hard boundaries on there where the data was not captured, that we do not have adjustments for. But we know that we're going lean. We had to add some fuel out here. So what I like to do then is just grab the rest of it. From the last RPM point up, grab the rest of it. And I'll go up 1% at a time, 1.01. And I'm going to be looking at this line right here where we have data to where we didn't collect data. I'm going to shift this up. Let's go up. Going to have to click a few times. Oh, I went too far. Let me back that off. Okay, so. And I'm looking right now, 2564. I want to exceed that. We're getting close. 2569. That's not quite a big enough step because we're going 447 to 2564. So I'm going to go one more step. Boom. Okay. So I'll come down here and double check. 2664, 2678. Okay. Now we have less of a crazy hump there. But now I've got to worry about all the data surrounding that. So I'll do the same thing here. We'll shift it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Down here, I'm not going to mess with it the same way. And I'll show you what I do down here. That's just for KPAs beyond what we've hit and RPMs beyond. So, got a couple things that we can do here. One of them is we want to feather this down, but we want to feather it both ways. And I'll interpolate those. And then for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab 6 cells, 3 untouched and 3 touched, and do that horizontally. So now we've got this graph looking pretty good. We got some junk data out here that we need to fix though. And that is going to be down here. So what I can do there is I will just go down and interpolate that. Now, here we go. Here's our new graph. Let's calculate it. Boom. So other than that junk data, which you're never going to be able to hit, it's 500 to 1,000 RPMs at wide open throttle. But the rest of the table, look how smooth. Yeah, I know, Andrew. I wish that there was zones from the config shown on here. That's my biggest complaint about the VVE editor. But I had a big section where I made a huge change to. And then I blended the rest of the stuff around it to create a shape that the VVE table is going to be happy with whenever you calculate your coefficients. But too rich, you don't want to wash cylinders. Well, if we were 10% lean, we're adding 10% to it across the board in the hopes that we logged up to 4,000. We want to make sure that we add some fuel beyond 4,000, because if we were lean at 3,800, we're going to be lean all the way up to the peak torque, which is, as I said, about 5,200. This whole area for sure is going to need more fuel than you needed at 3,800, if that makes sense. Unless your cam is totally whacked out and you've got a torque cam or something and it makes all of its airflow down here. So, I'm sorry. Yeah, lean is bad, too rich and leaving power on the table. Well, it's as I said, we got... It's all about, and that's the big thing about VVE, it's all about making the shapes work. And we've got some really nice shapes here. Like these kind of indentions here, I'm not as worried about. So they probably could be smoothed out more. Like that could be interpolated or smooth, or hell, we could just grab the whole thing and throw some smoothing at it, hit it a couple times. Just be aware whenever we hit it too many times, we pull a little bit out. So I'm going to add 3% back to the entire graph. Boop. There we go. And see that breakover point came back. That's a zone boundary right there that you're fighting. And what it is it likes the shape that it has right there. And it likes the shape that it has right there. It doesn't like where the two shapes meet. You might be better off moving that zone boundary from there over to here or over to here. And then it might let you smooth that out. Clear as mud, exactly. Well, you just, much like timing, hold down the plus sign. Apparently it doesn't work on the VVE editor. Yeah, almost every time whenever you see any kind of weird break like that, you're talking about a zone boundary. And that's the thing, is you can spot them in the 3D view pretty good. And there's where multiple zones come together. I don't know how well you'll be able to see that, but you've got 4 zones come together on that one point, and they're all dipping down kind of at the same angle. So that's the fun. Just wait. Try to get the boundaries to line up. You know, if you can get the boundaries to line up, you've got good zones. If the boundaries aren't lining up, then you have to rezone. Okay, what I missed? Let's go back to the live view. I guess all of them are live views, but put my face in grand giantness so everybody can see you. Why can't I adjust the Chevy fuel pump and I can't adjust the Ford fuel pump? If the Ford fuel pump has its own control module, they probably have not figured out a way to unlock it or access it through the CAN bus. Is it bad that my mind went straight to Super O's mind? Well, it wasn't negative value so much as it was having auxiliary fueling threw off so much. It was a learning experience. Okay, great question, Demon. He asks why some tuners say LT engines love rich mixture, why DI love a lean mixture. So it's more whenever you're talking about DI and you're shooting that high pressure atomized mixture directly in the cylinder, it does such a good job of controlling cylinder temperatures, and so you can run leaner with that. Whenever you're spraying against the port or the back of the valve, the fuel has a tendency to get a little bit warmer. It's the same, one of the same reasons why carbureted motors love as much timing. Granted, there's a lot of burn efficiency stuff in there, but it's also because with the carburetor sitting on top of the manifold and pulling fuel in there, everything is so much cooler down there. That's why carbs make the power they make. If only there was a tool to automatically give you new zone boundaries. So, that being said, we run richer on port injection to control temperatures. At the end of the day, that's really what it is. People will say otherwise, but I'm the one that says that the primary reason for power enrichment is to control temperatures and to resist detonation. Well, and that's the thing is if you get too rich, you can start getting into knock. You got to find the sweet spot. Andrew, I was hoping that Silver Surfer would come out with a zone boundary tool. I'm still hoping. I have a specific question for cruise. Would you recommend going to like 1.03 lambda? I know it's lean, but driving for hours on end, I'm trying to get high gas mileage. You can do it. 1.03 lambda is not going to hurt anything. That's not lean enough. Now, if you're doing like 1.1, you're probably getting close to the edge of where it's going to be happy. And, I would maybe, Christopher, adjust my PE to come on a little bit earlier. And that way, I'm really only sticking on that lean cruise below 2,500 RPMs or so. And then once I got above 2,500 RPMs, I would get into PE for safety's sake, for load, things like that. But at the same time, you're going to be trading off gas mileage for that side of it. Now, if you're down in Oklahoma like I'm from and everything's flat, man, you could cruise at 1.10 all day long. Sweet spot drool. Oh, no. 1,000% being too rich will cause knock. So, been there, done that. Don't be scared of the LT. It can handle more than you think. The LS can handle a ton of mistakes. The LT can handle quite a bit of mistakes. Even boosted. Once again, it's relative based on how many PSI you're jamming down the throat of it. You get to a point where it's like, too much. Now you're running dangerously, and it's going to bite you if you make a mistake. Naturally aspirated, running up to 7, I might even say 10 pounds of boost. You got a lot more wiggle room in there. These things aren't rotaries, man. One piece of knock will blow the apex cells out of a rotary. Been there, done that. Yeah, exactly. Like Shane says, stay a little rich and sneak up on it. I always like to go rich, work my way back towards target. DZ, good to see you, man. You said hi earlier. I'm sorry, I missed it. I was on a tirade. He finally agreed that too much caused knock. Yeah. And, everything has its issues. Everything has its issues. I mean, look at what we're doing right now. Uh, GM's recalling every 6.2 liter from 2023 on. And the solution is, if it's not cracked, put thicker oil in it. And it's like, if it's not cracked, if you're saying if it's good, go ahead and put thicker oil in it. Why wouldn't you just put thicker oil in it from the get-go? Oh yeah, emissions. Why would my RS-232 have different values than my AM gauge? Mainly higher value. I can't seem to get them. Cameron, big thing with it when it comes to the AEMs. The math, the output on the math has to be the correct math for what it's showing on the gauge. So you can't show AFR on the gauge and try and log EQ, because the math is completely different. And the math, and honestly what it is the scaling that the gauge is doing is different, and it has math specifically for the two, and they don't cross over. So, it wouldn't be a voltage offset, because it would always be one or the other. But on RS-232, you don't have voltage offset. You're on serial. So what happens? This is what I love. Hold on, let me find my whiteboard. Let's open up the actual whiteboard. I want to draw. I've got my drawing set up here, so I can draw. I'm going to draw for you and show you why I am the biggest fan of AMs. Okay. Get my pen out here. So, wake up. Do I need to choose? Why is my pen not working? No! This thing's got a battery in it, doesn't it? Does this have a battery in it? No, this doesn't have a battery. It should just be working. Oh, okay. I am over here breaking all kinds of stuff. Why is this on my main display? I'm like, I can't figure out where my pin is, and it is over there. Let me try this. It's still doing it. If you saw what I had going on over here, you would laugh. Okay, let's try it this way. Nope, that doesn't work. Okay. I gotta figure out why my pin's broken. Okay, so here's our AEM. It's a lot easier whenever I can use my pen. So this is taking a signal. And we've got two options. We've got analog and serial. In order to get an analog signal, we're taking a digital signal that is calculated by the gauge over here and converting it to an analog signal. So we have a DAC in here, digital to analog conversion. This is generally going to be 1 to 5 volts. And then we've got our ProLink. We'll just put there, PL, and we bring that 1 to 5 in. And now we have to go to an ADC, which is an analog to digital conversion. So we got conversion here and a conversion here. We converted that signal twice already to get it into the ProLink. Then we've got the math in here that we're doing, right? Whenever we use the serial, it comes out as digital, goes all the way to your computer. Here's your laptop as digital data. There's no conversions. You are getting the raw data directly from the processor in the gauge. Getting the data directly from the processor in a gauge in the native format to the laptop and into the scanner software. That's why I dislike the analog setup on any gauge. Doesn't have to be AM. Any wideband out there, I will do anything that I can to not have to run the ProLink with the analog. unless you're running a ProLink with the CAN bus connection. Or if you have the AEM CAN bus, it works much the way in the serial. We'll say this is C, goes into your CAN bus connector underneath the dash, and then you plug your MPVI in the backside, and it basically turns this thing into its own control unit that feeds the data. Once again, no conversion happens, comes in directly into the software. So, that all being said, what is displayed on here, be it EQ or AFR, has to be the same over here. And that is because of the scaling math that's involved. Okay? Great question. Serial, as I said, is just direct data. P59 with bigger cam, idling high in gear, base running airflow correct. Should the IAC change on a drive-by-wire? No. Drive-by-wire, you don't have the IAC. You're using the physical throttle itself to maintain idle. So whenever you say that the base running airflow is correct, are you talking about the base idle airflow? Because that's what needs to be adjusted. Most likely your base idle airflow is high. You know, bigger cam idling high in gear, you know, you may have 100 pounds per hour for your target RPM in there. May need to be closer to 80. So, we're on 68th Planet Satellite, making it run good up here. Got 2 coming in. Nice. Does serial output still go through the ProLink? No. The serial output, you use a serial to USB converter. I will pop my favorite one up here. Serial to USB adapter. Let me find the link because there's one. Here it is. Boop, boop, boop. Get link. Get link. This is the one I like. This is the D-Tech, and it comes with a connector. So, yeah, comes with this little connector to make it easy to wire up, and it's $18. So, cheap. Okay, it's 8:27. We started a little early. I've got some other stuff going on, so I'm going to be jumping off early. Let's see if there's any questions. Yeah, I highly suggest if you run the ATM or AEM that has the serial out, use the serial out. It's worthwhile. Just because you're not modifying. You've got too many options on the analog for drift, for interference, you know. And what you can correct, you can go in and tweak the formula, but why deal with that if you could just, boom, have the data. Have the data. What's up with the Pirates? ICT Car Guy, great question. They fired the coach today. Now, if only we could find somebody to fire the owner. I went to the game on May the 4th for Star Wars Day, and it was empty. Which is really weird because, like, Star Wars Day usually brings a huge crowd. Derek Shelton is officially gone. I'll be honest with you, some of it probably has to lie in Derek Shelton's hand, but the back office and the ownership have not done him any favors. I guarantee you he's probably sleeping better tonight than he slept in the last 4 or 5 years. We recommend to tune LT stock engine. I mean, touch up the VE. Double check the VE. Make sure, honestly, if it's stock, you just dive into the math and optimize the math. I take it back. Well, you know, the farm isn't bad, Schmidt. It's just that we are the lowest budget in all of baseball. How am I liking the Core versus the Holly? So far, all I can say, De La Soul, is I like the core so much more than a Holly. I took it out of the box the other day and I looked at it for 10 minutes straight and I didn't see the word Holly on it anywhere. So it's got to be better. Okay, listen, guys, that's it for tonight. You know the drill. Thanks for stopping by the garage. Remember, ABT, always be tuning.